Hello there, and welcome to my second video. Thanks for watching. I start off with a clean and moisturized face, and I apply the Lasting Smiles Organic Lip Balm to my lips to make sure to moisturize them. And then I apply the Benefit Professional to my face to prime it, smooth out any pores and lines. I use the Anastasia Brow Definer to fill in my brows using short hair-like strokes, filling out any sparse areas, and in the meantime, obviously blending it out with the spoolie on the other side. To darken them up, I use the Anastasia Brow Pomade in dark brown with a small angled brush. Just darkens it up and really accentuates the brows. And then I use the Maybelline Fit Me Concealer in the shade Light to carve out my brows, sharpen them up, clean them up, and then I use that same exact concealer to prime my lids, and I just blend everything out with my ring finger. I set it with the N.Y.C loose translucent powder and the beauty sponge. Now with the Morphe 350 palette, I use a fluffy brush and I use a light brown, almost like a skin tone brown, to apply as my transition shade. And I kind of go up high in the crease. It just gives a really nice full blown out effect, and I make sure to blend it out so that all my other eyeshadows are easier to blend out. And then I go with a flat shader brush to apply the highlight shade. I start at the top of the arch and I blend it out. I use kind of like a brownish with a little bit of a green undertones shade, and I apply it right over that transition shade. And I use a clean, fluffy brush to make sure that there are no harsh lines, blend everything out, smooth everything out, all that. So then I use a small blending brush from e.l.f. It's like from the $1 line, and I apply the light orangey brown shade on the right side, and I kind of start patting it down on the outer corner, and as less product is on the brush, I go ahead and blend it all the way into the crease, and I blend everything out with a fluffy blending brush. I combine the dark reddish brown and the dark brown in the palette, and with that same brush I was using before, I pat down on the outer corner, make sure all of the color is mostly concentrated in that corner. And as less product it gets on the brush, so the more product I put down, I go ahead and start blending it upwards, and I bring it all the way into the inner corner, and I slowly start bringing it up to start blending it out and add more dimension, more smokiness, all of that fun stuff. And I blend it out with a fluffy brush, the same one that I was using at the beginning, but there's no product on it. Then the most exciting part, I use a flat brush, M.A.C Fix Plus, and I dip the brush into the eyeshadow first, and then I spritz it with the M.A.C Fix Plus to really give it that metallic effect. And I start kind of like in the middle of the eye, and then I start going into the inner corner, really packing that shade on, and then I kind of start going a little bit higher into the crease, not into the crease, but just below it, and I really carve it out to make sure it's nice and sharp in there. And I'm just kind of like blending it out all over the eyelid, really making sure I pack on that color. And with that same small fluffy brush, blending brush that we were using earlier from e.l.f., I take a like a brown, the same dark brown shade, and I blend it out. Then I take a medium fluffy brush with that like skin tone color, and I blend it out at the top to make sure that there are no harsh lines and everything is all smooth. I use a facial wipe to remove any fallout from under my eyes and my face, and also kind of sharpens up the outside. I combine the Maybelline Matte and Poreless and the Maybelline Dewy and Smooth foundations, and I kind of mix a little bit of both of them, and I blend it all over everywhere basically with the e.l.f. beauty sponge. I combine these two because it creates the perfect shade for me, and I really like the finish it gives, not too matte and not too dewy, and it gives a pretty good coverage. I have combination skin and it works out just fine. I always just set it with loose translucent powder, so you will see in just a second. And and it gives a nice effect. It lasts all day. And make sure to blend it around my jawline and a little bit under it as well, because it helps blend it in with my neck. And honestly, guys, this $3 beauty sponge from e.l.f. is the best purchase I've ever made. I've tried the Real Techniques one, which is for like $7 or $8. This is way better. And then for my concealer, I apply it and like strike my war stripe motion. I use two shades in here. I use the shades Light and Fair, and I use it to create a good shade. It also creates a good highlight, and as you can see, I kind of bring it in a little bit closer to the nose, and I do that while blending it out as well. And then I apply it, I think it's like the Fair shade, and I apply it on my high points like the forehead, the nose, and the chin. I use a kind of like a dome shaped brush from e.l.f. as well. It's like $3, kind of wonderful. And I use it to blend it out first, and then to smooth out any lines and making sure everything looks pretty much flawless, I use the e.l.f. beauty sponge as well, and I bring it in towards the sides of the nose to kind of highlight any shadows that are there, so it can actually help with the nose contour later. I use the NYX Wonder Stick to do my contour. I just apply my stripes on my cheeks and on the nose. Kind of just looking for the actual hollows of my cheek. And I use it along the jawline as well. It helps make everything look pretty sharp there. Under my lips, I kind of tried to make my lips look bigger this way. Don't know if I actually succeeded in that. And obviously my drawing skills are not that good considering my awful lines on my forehead, but pretty much you just apply the contour shade all over your forehead. And I just blended it out again with the e.l.f. beauty sponge with the wide part, and then like the thinner part around my lips, because I don't want contour all over my chin either. So I just blend everything out. Then I dip in, to set my under eye, I dip my beauty sponge into my N.Y.C loose translucent powder. And again, I apply that powder starting on the sides of my nose. And I really pack it on there, and then whatever's left on the sponge, I spread it to the under eye area. That way the under eye doesn't have too much powder. And then I use a small brush. I don't know why I decided to use a small brush, but it is what it is. And I use that same powder to set my entire face. Just make sure you set everything under, like where you put the concealer, where you put the contour. So then I start on the under eyes. I use that super bright orange shade with a small fluffy brush we had used earlier, and I start applying it all over my under eye, the bottom lash line. And I'm not being too precise with it. I just blend it out, kind of bringing it down. And I use the next brightest orange shade, and I apply it right under there. And I use a smaller fluffy brush than that, and I use a dark brown, and I blend it right along the lash line, kind of to serve as an eyeliner, but to also add some dimension on the lower lash line. Then I go back in with that bright orange, and I blend it out. I bring it down even further. I use a green waterproof gel liner that I got from Essence. It was like $3, and I put it in the outer 3 corners of the eye, and then I mix it in with the black one as well. Next, I use the Maybelline gel liner in black, and as you can see, I start out really thin on the inner corner, and I progressively make the wing, or make the eyeliner wider into the wing. I use the L'Oreal Telescopic mascara to prepare my lashes before I apply my falsies. Don't mind the weird faces and expressions. Okay, and then I also make sure to coat my bottom lashes. I like this mascara because it really does elongate the, oh yeah, slow-mo walking. The mascara does elongate the lashes pretty well, and it gives nice volume. quickly pop on the false lashes, and I use the Wet n Wild contour set with a e.l.f. contour brush, contour blending brush I think it's called. And I just apply it right over where I had put my contour with the cream one, and I blend it out. I blend it up a little bit upwards. I don't like my contour too low because then it makes my cheeks look way too big for some reason. I don't really like that look. I apply it to my nose as well as my forehead. And along the jawline. Basically everywhere I have put the cream contour, I apply that powder contour. I use the N.Y.C Smooth Skin Bronzing Powder in the shade Sunny with an angled brush because it helps contour by its contour as well as bronze up the skin. And I apply it everywhere on top of where I just put the contour products. And I blend it out with that powder brush I had used earlier. I just make sure everything's blended out. There's no harsh lines. It all looks flawless. I use my BECCA by Jaclyn Hill by BECCA kit. And I use Champagne Pop in there with a small brush. Honestly, I don't even know what it's called. I got in a kit years ago. It was from my first makeup kit, I believe. With actual makeup, not kitty makeup. And I just use that on the high points of my face, the high points of my cheeks. I kind of just spread it out a little bit over my nose, chin, and forehead. I use the middle shade. It's kind of like a brown pinky shade, and I use a small e.l.f. brush. You can tell I love my e.l.f. brushes. They're cheap and pretty good quality, I might say so myself. Then I start baking. I use my beauty sponge and I apply it right under where I have put my bronzer and contour, right along the jawline. I just really pack on that powder. I bring it in straight in towards my mouth. This trick really does help clean up everything, makes everything look super sharp once I once I take that extra powder off. Helps clean everything up, everything looks really chiseled. And then for lips, I use a L'Oreal Color Supreme Lipcoulour lipstick in the shade Terracotta. This was a hand-me-down lipstick. I don't know how long I've had it for, but I felt it would look perfect with this look because it's in the orangey vibes. Blend out the excess powder, and I think that pretty much ends this look. Thank you all for watching.